So this is the Net Zero Navigator tool that we demoed last week, and the goal is really to help people start or refine their climate plans. And when you arrive at the tool, you need to create an account so that all the data you saved, if you want to save the data, can be saved. So that's why we have to set up an account to begin with. There's obviously on the left all of the information you need. The place we're going to look at first is your inputs. What you'll be asked to do first is say which local authority you are. So we only have local authorities, not county councils. If you are from a county council, it doesn't. You could still create a plan using the platform. I would suggest you choose one of the local authorities within your county council and take it from there. You can still create a plan. You put your role and your zero carbon target year. That doesn't change anything. And then the first area where you need to actually input some information is where are your co-benefit areas? Where do you want to focus? Allocating a score to each one. The carbon priority goes down as you change the co-benefits. I mean, the goal of this is really to identify strategies that address all of these areas and to kind of highlight those benefits. There's then your process maturity self-assessment is the kind of questions that you fill in on terms of, do you have a net zero strategy? Do you know your area-wide CO2 emissions? 25 questions in total. You need to complete all of those questions to get an answer. Those questions, they will probably require you to go and speak to other people in the local government, and that is kind of the goal, is that we really want to help the climate plan move out of whichever department you are across all of the local government departments, and actually starting that conversation as you gather information is key. Once you've completed that process, then you start getting your outputs. Just to mention all of the people who helped build this tool. So there was Space Syntax, Useful Projects, Expedition Engineers, and we've got data from Scatter and also from CDP. So that they've helped put this tool together. And once you've completed those questions, your place data and your future context, it gives information on your emissions and where how they compare to the national average, things like this. Your future context on actually mapping out your route to zero carbon. We set a zero carbon target of 2030. This is what that looks like. The outputs come under the enablers and interventions section. So the enablers are 25 strategies that can leverage change in many areas. So they're not specific actions or activities, that they're much more about how you can drive change. So we can see we have the full list of them here. The aim is that you look at each one of them. So creating a strategy and a plan, and we say that's already in progress, or it's to complete, we haven't started. Governance, do we have a carbon neutral procurement process? We set the status of that. And then once we've been down that list, we can then filter them by which are the ones that are to complete, which ones have we not started on. These strategies are there for you to review. We don't export them into a plan, which we do with the next section. So the main area of the tool is under your interventions. So there's 109 interventions. So we can show at the top. There's 109 strategies and actions that will help reduce carbon emissions from your in your local borough. If we hide this introduction information, we can filter these by the cost of implementation, the return on investment. So we've now, if we reduce the return on investment to 10 years or less, there's only 12 interventions we can see now. We can change the order of them by saying we only want to look at, say, co-benefits. So that's, we've still got all 109 interventions, but the order of them is different. Or we can order them just by the archetype match. So that's the type of local authority that we are. Are we an urban? Are we rural? Are we mixed? And then we can look at whether we want it's one that's just implemented by the local council or whether it's one that requires collaboration. And then we go through our list of interventions in the same way, choosing those that are already in progress and those that we need to work on. One small trick, if you want to kind of go through them all, is if you put it on not selected first, then as soon as you set it to a status, it will disappear. If we change it to already being planned, it now disappears and the next one comes up. So we can, it's the easiest way of going through the list of them. And once we've selected our interventions, we can look at what that potential impact will be. So what is likely to be the carbon saving from those interventions we've proposed, actually against the enablers that have been selected. And once we've been through that process, we've maybe reviewed it and updated, then we're able to export into the OnePlanet platform. This now enables you to kind of take ownership of those interventions, customize them to your own needs, print off a report, etc. So if you click on export to OnePlanet, you'll come up with a screen like this, and when you click on create your OnePlanet plan, you'll be provided with a page that looks a little bit like this. So in this case, I selected 70 odd interventions, and it's created me a mind map of all of those interventions clustered around my co-benefits. So job creation, inclusion, health and well-being, and natural capital. So what we're trying to do is really enable you to see very visually how are my interventions having an impact, positive impact elsewhere, and actually use that as a way of engaging with other departments and helping implement those. So the tool itself has a kind of simple logical framework around outcomes, the goals we want to achieve. So in the middle, we've got net zero carbon. That's ultimately the goal of the tool. And actions and indicators. And we've uploaded all the interventions as actions. So if we click on one of these actions, we'll see it loads on the side. And we've got in this little box here all of that information that we had on the interventions pages here. So all of this information is in the action field there. And what we can do if we want to report is we can then move to we have in the top right, we see the 3 different types of views. There's mind map, table, and document. Open in a new tab. If we open up the document, we will then get all of this information in a document that we can print off. So while we wait for that to load, I'll just show you the platform, how the platform works in a little more detail. So again, if we look at this one action, now that we've got the information here, we can begin to edit it. So we might not want all of this background information. We can delete all of that and actually start uploading our own information on how we're going about implementing the action. We've got some simple project management tools. So we can say that this action is in process, and we can say that it's Mary's responsibility to deliver it and put a completion date on it. And we can also start tracking that action. So this action that we just mentioned was around implementing a standardized monitoring procedure. So we've put a procedure in place, and right now we're testing it. So we've testing that procedure, and we think it's going further. So we can track the progress of an action, and we can actually also create stories. So if we think there's when the plan is actually launched, we can create a story. This can be posted to social media, so the maybe the council's Twitter site or something, and also or published on the website. Let's see if let's wait for that. The report. So the report has all of that same information, but structured into a document view. And if we go to the zero carbon principle, we will see all of those actions now loaded against that, because they're all zero carbon actions. We'll see them all loaded there, and somewhere down this list there is the action that I edited. Here we go. So this particular action, I uploaded the testing plan. I don't know if you remember that I said that as of this date, we were now testing it. So that progress update is here. So we can actually start kind of implementing the plan and generating a report of progress, not just using it to identify the strategies that we want. Just reload that. Just to explain a little bit more about how the platform works, and the goal of the platform is we've also got along the top the dashboard, and if you go to the dashboard, you'll find this is what it looks like, and the plan is built around what we call an ecosystem plan. So that's where we would be. What I'll show you on the next use of the platform is how we're able to create a plan. So, an overall strategy for your carbon strategy, or even a higher level strategy, bringing in the co-benefits as well. And then each department can have a plan that is connected to that overarching plan. So just to give a little bit more information, then back on the mind map view, if we want to add actions or indicators, so we have an indicator here, carbon emissions, but maybe we want to have an indicator on natural capital. So we have an indicator, number of species. We need to allocate it to a specific principle, but we then would add that indicator to the mind map. It pops onto the mind map, and we're able to link it up and show that it's connected to that specific co-benefit. So that's how we can use the tool, and we can then the indicator in the same way. There's additional data that we can add, so we can put in units, progress, stories, and we can also include charts, so graphs, if we want to have more data representation of it. I was just going to show the ecosystem plan, just what that looks like, so these are the co-benefits that we've set in the from the outset of what we want to achieve, and these are the outcomes and indicators that we can then adopt into specific plans if we want to. So the account is limited to 2 plans. We want to keep it simple. I'm going to show you one with many more plans for different departments and how they're all connected together. So this is an example of how the tool is being used by another local authority. So as I mentioned, this is the dashboard that you come into, and it's all the tool works, and the account is centered around this ecosystem plan. So if we open up that, the plan contains outcomes and indicators, no actions, because it's really just the vision. And each of those outcomes and indicators can be adopted into multiple other plans. So in the dashboard, we'd also see there's a departments tab. If we click here, we've got 5 departments: education and skills, planning, health, transport, and climate. So if we go back to the dashboard, so that was this tab, back to the ecosystem, and we click on one of the indicators, we can see now on this indicator has been adopted by just one plan, by the transport plan. The staff commuting indicator has been adopted by 3 plans. So there's 3 departments that have adopted that plan. And if we click on one of those, we will be able to go straight to that plan. I have opened up one of those. So this is the joint health and well-being strategy. And what we've done is adopt in from that ecosystem key outcomes and indicators. So we have to connect to that ecosystem, and then we have all of those shared indicators. It's health and well-being. Let's have the PM10 concentration indicator as well. So we connect to those indicators, adopt those indicators. They will join in the plan, and the PM10 concentration is linked to improving air quality. So we join it up before it floats away. And what this means is at an ecosystem level, at a local government level now, we can view in this, in the ecosystem plan, the performance of all of the different departments against that specific indicator. So the PM10 indicator we should see now has been adopted into the joint health and well-being strategy. What we did first was looked at both the climate strategy and the joint health and well-being strategy and kind of started uploading all of the actions. So all of the actions here that have got a prefix CP have come from the climate plan, and the other ones have come from the health and well-being plan. And we can see that both of them have an action around increasing active travel. Both of them have indicators around % of staff commuting and commuting with active modes, and also around air quality. So we can begin to see how these 2 strategies are overlapping, and actually, maybe we can remove the goal of that action of active travel from the climate plan and simply track the one from the health and well-being plan instead. And then we can still, in the same way, track progress on those actions. We can say that we've got a staff plan that will go into a report. That will both go into a report for the department if we want to do the department, but also actually be available for creating reports at a local government level. I'll just show one other element just to sort of explain how it works and then review the questions we've got. So we can view all the information in lots of different ways. So we've picked on this indicator here of staff commuting, and we can see we've got these 3 plans that are connected to it. We can look at the indicator in a different way. So we've got this goal of active travel, and in that staff commuting indicator, we can now see the progress that we're making at a local government level. So we're trying to get as many people cycling as possible, and 65% were, and now we're up to 70%. But we can also see at the same place the progress that all of the departments are making to that. So if we click on those, we can see their progress. These plans can be adopted, or these outcomes and indicators can be adopted by separate plans, ones that are not on the that are not part of this plan. It's not shown here. So we can get developers to create a plan and adopt these indicators and start reporting on their performance against these indicators or these outcomes, and actually be able to track what they're doing. And potentially using then the progress bar as a way of checking their compliance against that. So we can start checking that the infrastructure we're implementing is aligned with our sustainability goals. At the top, which is where you have your account. There is a help center with American spelling, a bit annoying, and that takes you to some a guidance section, and there's also an advanced guidance section. We're developing further guidance because this it probably won't cover everything you need at an ecosystem plan. So do contact us for that. So within the ecosystem page, if we click on any indicator, we've got that additional information, and that can be pulled into a report using the document view. So we can then give an overview of everything that's happening against these outcomes and indicators. If we want, where we're in the right place, so there is an area that allows much more sophisticated reporting. I don't know if this will load in time, but we can create a report that pulls in information from all of the other plans. So we can filter the reports to see which indicators we want to report on, which plans we want to report on, if we wanted to have plans from external stakeholders or not. We set the date, we want all data and apply. And that now then pulls in information from all of the plans. So we had an indicator here, so staff commuting with sustainable transport modes. We've got our overall progress, and we know these 3 plans are contributing. And then in the health and well-being strategy, this is the information that has been uploaded there. So we can create plans at many different levels. If we just want to give progress on those key indicators, we can create a plan here. If we want to see everything that's happening, we've got a different way of doing that. Brilliant. That was kind of everything I wanted to cover in this session. If there are no more questions, I think we will be able to wrap up there.